We got some news to get into today, boys. Some of the post changes that went live yesterday. If you haven't logged in since reset, a bunch of classes got a bunch of buffs out of nowhere. We'll talk about where that leaves some of those classes. Also, the Midsummer Fire Festival keeps getting updates at an insane rate. Blizzard hasn't announced a remake of that event, but I think we're getting some interesting scaling happening on with that thing, as well as an enchant that is changing the game. I don't know. Let's jump into this shit. We got some stuff to talk about, boys. So here we go. First off, a bug fix. If you were playing Arcane Mage, evidently you were leaking mana all over the place. That's right. Turns out, mana management, if you haven't played Arcane before, is extremely important. I mean, it's basically how the class is played. And there's supposed to be kind of a passive mana regen going on with them. Evidently, it had reverse course post the fixes yesterday. So when servers went live, Arcane Mages were periodically losing mana rather than gaining it back, which actually is horrible for that class. That's a class-breaking feature there. So Blizzard hotfixed that in. Shouldn't be a problem anymore. Now, in terms of what happened yesterday with Reset, out of nowhere, Blizzard came with a bunch of class tuning, and we're going to talk about what that means for a bunch of the classes here. First of all, Havoc Demon Hunter, we're going to talk about single target and AoE and what it means. Havoc Demon Hunter got basically a 2% buff on single target and a 1% buff on AoE. This is for Felscard. For Havoc Eldrachi, it was a 7% buff for both single and AoE, so that's pretty damn big. Vengeance Demon Hunter Eldrachi saw a 9% buff on single and a 7 on AoE. For Feral Druid, that's right, the kitty boys running around, they got 4% buffs across the board there for single and AoE. Now remember, these kind of are done on the back end estimations through simming after these buffs went live, so buyer beware, I guess, how this shit actually plays out in actual fights and stuff, but this is kind of like perfect simming, so these tend to be slightly accurate. Arcane Mage Spellbringer, 5% for both single and AoE. Arcane Mage Sun Fury, 8.5% single, 6.8% AoE. And then Fire Mage, 5% single, 0% AoE. I actually saw some people saying just yesterday in the forums as I was, pre-reading, pre-watching, and pre-preing everything that I do on stream. Single target damage for Fire Mage evidently was doing really good yesterday. Some people were claiming that they were seeing Fire Mages really pumping out damage yesterday, so at post-reset at least. So that's good to see for them, because Fire Mage has been absolutely thrown in the gutter lately. Frost Mage for Frostfire, a 10% buff to single target damage, 11% to AoE. I don't know. I'll be honest, I'm kind of out of touch with Frost Mage on the Frostfire spectrum. I don't know if there was a lot of people, if it was doing good damage before or not, but that's a massive buff. So if it was bottom of the pack, maybe now it'll be mid. And if it was mid, this thing's going to be absolutely great now. Retribution Paladin, 5 for Herald of the Sun, 5% single target, and a little bit less than 5%, depends on the target count for AoE. So good to see for them. For Ass Rogue and Sub-Titty Rogue, we see 3% buff for Assassination Deathstalker, single target, and 3% for AoE. And then our Sub-Titties, we got single target, 1.5%, and AoE, 4%. By the way, this is for Deathstalker. You were out of touch with a lot of crap. Also true, yes. Elemental Shaman, pretty good for Farseer here. We see an 8% single target buff and a 5% AoE buff. I also like to call these guys the Fart Seers. And then a Restoration Shaman, 0%. I don't know what the fuck happened. They had changes and nothing happened, so there you go. Arms Warrior for Colossus, 3.5% single target, 1.5% AoE. And then Furry Warriors, 2% single target, 3.5% AoE. That's for Mountain Thane. For Prot Warrior Colossus, some decent changes. 3% for single target, 0% though for AoE, so nothing really going on with AoE, which for a tank, honestly, if you're ever going to be meta on Mythic Plus, this matters a lot, so we probably would like to see some better stuff for Prot Warrior Colossus. But Prot Warrior Mountain Thane got some good ones here. We see 4% single target and 6% AoE buff, so that's good to see for them. Absolutely pushing. I wish Feral would stop getting buffs to their damage and get a buff to their energy/energy regen. Is that where they're lacking right now? I know Feral's been played with a lot, I feel like, this expansion, and they haven't really settled in yet to like a decent spot right now. We'll see. Blizzard clearly giving them attention. Maybe not in the right way, as you're mentioning there. Moving on. The best ways to farm Mythic crests. We already know a lot of this. I went through an entire, crest farming guide just the other day. But just a real quick recap here. Mythic Plus is still the best way to farm your crests, guys. We're talking about +9 to +12 Mythic Plus keys. That's going to give you, like, per minute, basically the best rate of crests, and it's uncapped right now, so you can just run this shit nonstop. You're basically gonna get 10 to 16 crests, which averages out to about a 1 crest every 2 minutes, yeah, because it takes about 20 to 40 minutes to run a typical dungeon. So there you go. I mean, Mythic Plus still by far and away the best way to do it. We also have ritual sites right now, which is another way, an uncapped way at least, to get Mythic crests. While delves are a good way to get them, they're capped at 20. So you can run 4 delves if you've gotten to tier 11 on your basically reward or what the hell is it called? Your Delver's Journey guide. You'll start getting Myth crests, but it's capped at 20. So you can only do that 4 times, basically leading you to 20 crests total. For ritual sites, you get less. You get 5, but these are uncapped. So I mean, if you get a 5-man group together on a ritual site, you can absolutely power blast through these things and get a ton of crests real quick. I wouldn't suggest it being the way to do it single player, but if you're single player, hey, you got some time, you need some myth crests, and you're just playing a solo Andy version of WoW, then ritual sites probably are the best way. And then trading up hero crests is another way to do it. If you go through like a complete clear of heroic raid, you're going to get a decent amount of mythic crests. Nothing crazy, but, you know, you can trade those in, flip them up. If you've gotten to the point where you're allowed to upgrade your hero crests to myth crests, 30 hero crests for 10 myth on that end there. Now, moving on to something real important here. I've been talking about the Midsummer Fire Festival because Blizzard's been giving it a lot of attention lately. Honestly, tons of updates to this thing in terms of rewards. We haven't really talked about any updates to the event itself, but I think we're going to get something soon. So if you don't know, the Midsummer Fire Festival comes every summer. This summer it'll be coming from June 24th to July 5th. It comes with the summer solstice, you know, the mark of the official launch of summer. And this year, Blizzard's giving them a ton of attention. A lot going on with this Midsummer Fire Festival in terms of upgrades on things. And they're giving us, for the first time ever, this insane looking enchant. I mean, is Blizzard upping the enchant game here? This thing is called the Illusion of Summer Sun Blossom. The source is currently unclear, but it seems to be attached to the Summer Fire Festival. And Blizzard, you guys might be saying, "Oh, Sam, why are you freaking out over an enchant? Who gives a shit about this?" Guys, this enchant's absolutely insane. Look at this thing. Look at the animations for it. This is a fiery, flowery, I don't know what you want to call it, but one of the most insane enchants Blizzard's ever. Is Blizzard upping their enchant game right now? I'm not quite sure. I mean, look at this thing. If this is a sign of things to come, I don't know what to say about enchants. I think the enchant game is about to change forever because this is probably one of the most, I don't know, detailed and interesting looking enchants we've ever had in the game. Again, attached to the Midsummer Fire Festival, which is absolutely crazy because right now there are no true updates to that thing, but Blizzard's putting a ton of work into the items you can get from it. So again, a crazy looking enchant, and I think a sign of things to come with enchants. Maybe we got the Blizzard art team focusing more on putting enchants in the game that are pretty cool looking. Looks like shit. Well, a Chlamydia, you know, your not flowery, I guess, opinion of this. You know, look, I'm not a flower guy. I'm not going to enchant my, you know, my blood decay with a flower enchant, but I can get excited for what this means. Hey, maybe one day they give me some kind of enchant with blood balls, you know, rotating around my weapon or something. That'd be pretty cool. Basically, why this excited me is not because I'm into flower enchants, but because cool enchants in the game could be another great way to customize. Definitely. My graphics card's going to burn down. Yeah, this is definitely going to add some load time to some people. I think it's cool. Again, we don't know the source just yet, but there's a lot of other things coming. We've talked about a few of these things. We have the Sun Festival Painted Rock. What is this thing? This is another mount here coming. We see, we don't know, again, how we're going to get this thing. This is a new mount that'll drop actually in Ahun, the event's Frost Lord's dungeon boss. So we do know how this one's going to drop. This one actually looks pretty damn cool. If you haven't seen it animated, absolutely glorious looking mount. A fiery phoenix looking bird is pretty cool. And then we have this one. Not sure how this one was gonna be gotten, but this is a beautiful looking transmog set. If you're a Tauren Paladin out there, you absolutely got to go get this set. This is probably going to be related to Trading Post. That's what they're thinking it is here. We'll see how you actually get this set. And then a bunch of like totemic inspired, Tauren inspired, sun god inspired looking weapons. These look really cool. I absolutely love a bunch of these weapons. Again, it's like a wood/light inspired set and weapons here coming with this event. Again, the Midsummer Fire Festival getting a ton of attention from Blizzard in terms of item and rewards. We'll see how they actually update the event itself. I think we're going to get some cool stuff out of this event. Finally, moving on, some decor shit for you decor whores out there. Yes, ordering Diablo, if you did get a Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred, you got a bunch of decor items. Well, some people wanted more. And it turns out now Blizzard's making this unlockable. Basically, you can purchase more of these from your vendors. Now, Gabby and Orgrimmar, Toran and Stormwind, and Deny Silvertongue. Oh, man, I'd like to meet her. And Silvermoon. So you can go purchase those things. And yeah, if you want more of those decor items, you can only purchase them if you previously purchased Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred. These will not be unlockable in-game if you want them. Speaking, though, of decor, I don't review this shit a lot. I just did the other day, I know, but whenever I see something cool, I like to bring it to your guys' attention. This guy right here created a nice little, PC setup, right? Pretty cool looking shit. I think this is pretty damn creative. He even created the PC here, the little chair. He's sitting there in his chair. But the craziest thing is what happens when he turns on this monitor. Guys, he recreated the entire freaking login screen. This man recreated the inside of his monitor. He's got the Burning Crusade login screen. And yes, this is real. This is not like some kind of image. He actually took the Burning Crusade portal, which people unlocked already in the game, shrunk it down, put it inside of this monitor that he created, and then even created the buttons. These are actual little tiny buttons that he created out of furniture items. The creativity of WoW. I mean, look at this. He's even got a little bit of food right here next to the monitor. This is great. A beautiful WoW setup, reminiscent of the good old days. If you want to build shit outside of WoW, you can also get some Legos. That's right. Blizzard's partnering up with Lego to create this a little orc hut here. So if you want to get some orc village building on, you can now do it. The Lego Orc Village is inspired by the Warcraft Lego contest. So this is pretty damn cool. Get in here and buy some shit if you want to build stuff out in real life. Looking overall, guys, I'm telling you, I'm excited for the Fire Festival coming in June. I think this is actually going to be the best iteration of the Fire Festival we ever got. So, cool stuff. We'll see what happens going forward. But for today, that is all in terms of news.